Hello everyone, today I am competing. This is a big thing that Cupid needs to just get a lot more experience doing, as you will see later. He's not the biggest fan of getting platted up at the moment, but yeah, he'll get used to it. So I did a pretty simple warm-up. He was actually feeling really good in the warm-up. We got to ride before the rain came down, and I will tell you now, the rain came down later. But Cupid is not good with puddles. But I just did, a bit of walk, trot, canter on both reins, made sure I could move his shoulders around, and, just had full control. But he was really lovely and forward, and quite keen to be out there. He wasn't spooky at all in the warm-up here. However, that changes. So we had to approach to present to the judges from inside the arena, which I'm glad, because there was a barbecue right by Arena 1, and he was not a fan of that sound. So a quick note about how I'm going to be talking about my tests. You will see down in the bottom left there is the movement and what I am doing, very abbreviated. In the description will be a list of all the abbreviations I use. For movement 1 there, we got a 6. Comment could be straighter in hold and center line. Got not much to say about that. He was pretty backed off because he was quite scared of the left-hand side of the judge's car. Movement 2, 6.5, could have clearer flexion and more connection from hindquarters over back. So, as my instructor said the other day, he does flex to the right, but he does it in a weird way. Like, he sort of would prefer to keep his neck up, especially on the right here, a bit more stiffly, and sort of twists his jaw inwards. He's, I don't know, looking at someone over there. .5 here for the change of rein, more supple through corners and over back. Part of that was the spook, however, no, they're right, he just needs to be more supple. He was still pretty forward, yeah, believe it or not. The next movement is the 20-meter circle at E, for which we get a 6.5 and a steady rhythm for a comment. He is much better on the left. We've had issues with him on the right, where he swings his whole neck over to the right-hand side, rather than actually, bending properly through his body. We're working on it much more now that I know what I'm supposed to be working on, but that's why that left-hand circle looked better. It didn't mark better, however, which is interesting. We've got a halt here at A, immobility for 4 seconds. 6 could be more prompt into halt, more close behind. Now we are allowed to do our transitions into and out of the halt through the walk, so she really shouldn't have commented on that. But what can you do? It was really worth a 5, if I'm being honest. His number fell out there, which is why he spooked. I don't blame him. For the free walk, 6 could be straighter across the line and a more consistent stretch. He does get a little bit distracted, but again, he's looking at the barbecue, which is way off to the left here, about level with E. And here for movement 7 is a 6.5 for the transition to the medium walk. Not sure what he spooked up there, but there sure was a thing to be scared of. Picked up the wrong canter lead, got a 6 for movement 8, 5 for movement 9, incorrect lead but corrected. I'm surprised he picked up the right lead on the straight there. Circle right, 6-5, could be more supple, tending to fall in. Yes, because he's not bending right around my inside leg. She probably could have given me a 6 for that, honestly. 6 for that trot transition, saying it was early. Again, that was probably worth a 5, because it was so early. It's not like it was only a couple of strides, like... 6-5 for this, could be straighter on the line. Yeah, that's fine. Canter transition could be more balanced. Honestly, he could just be bending the correct way. That was a 6. She probably should have given a 5-5 or even a 5. Circle here, clear reflection, more elastic. So she's saying there what she wants from him. Yes, he needs to be much better bent around the inside there. That was just his tension and stiffness there. A working trot, 6 early trot transition, could be more of a back supple and straighter, so I wasn't going to stress him out by insisting that he pick the canter back up, because he just fell out of the canter there. So I thought that it would overall ride nicer and give him a better time if I let him just take the canter there, and, you know, we can sort it out next time. It's not that big of a deal. 6 for that included the diagonal line there. And coming up here is the half circle from B to X, 10 meters. The only 7 of the test, remarkably. No comment, but it was actually quite a good half circle. Spoiler alert, there's a really bad 10 meter half circle coming up later on. And a 6-5 there for the center line. Could be straighter on center line. He actually got quite a few 7s in this test, which I don't know about that. So 7 for the entry, halt close behind, some wavering on center line. Right there. So I didn't really get a chance to talk about my collectives the last test. I got 6-5, 6-5, 6, and 6-5. And just, she spoke pretty much about everything that I mentioned earlier. So you can see there, I'm riding him a little bit shoulder in because I was worried he would be spooky about these bushes. So giving him, that's the terrible half circle there, by the way. You can see by the lines on the ground that that was only about 8 meters. So I got a 6-5 for that undershot X. But I had him in the shoulder in there because if he's doing something a little bit harder, I'm taking his brain off all of the excitement and hubbub going around him. This here, yeah, he got a little bit excited and picked up the canter there going past Mum, who's reading my test. I literally went from the first test straight into this test, with no time in between. So I got a 5-5 for that, loss of rhythm on half circle. Now we've got a 3-loop serpentine here from C to A. I practice a lot of these. So I got a 6-5 for this, 2 deep into the F corner, which is the 3rd loop, for a smooth loop. So I didn't get a chance earlier to elaborate on the marks from movement 7 and why I thought that it was fair to only earn a 7, even though he did that movement quite well. Yeah, and he backed off and had a bit of a spook there too. Which is why I did ride him a little bit deeper than I needed to into this corner. But even if they do one movement particularly outstanding, it is heavily affected by the movements around that single movement. So that's why test scores, unless they do something horrifically wrong, will generally be within a 2-mark bracket. So I got a 6 here, keep energy in medium walk, keep free walk purposeful, and keep stretching consistent. That's mostly just his distraction, but, you know, so it will get better as he grows up and just sort of settles into being a horse. There's a few here that, oh geez, there's no comments. So we get a 7 for this movement, which is remarkable, but I also take an error, of course. So we get a loss of rhythm, wrong lead, then okay second time, and you'll see why right here. I'm not really sure exactly what he had his mind on doing, but he just decided we're gonna go for a bit of a run, and I could have just corrected, circled back round, and taken the point hit on you know, it just being messy, but I'd already told the judge that he's young and I would be more than happy to take penalties and get myself eliminated so that I can correct his mistakes. So we get a 7-5 for this circle, which is really good. Like, that's really good. And he is looking good. I could have some better flexion there, honestly. And that does include this second half circle here. And then we get a 7-5 for this transition as well. Which, after he had that, like, little brain fart, I guess, was pretty impressive. He breaks here, yeah, in the canter. We get a 5-5 loss of rhythm. He's not the best at lengthening yet, but he has, like, since this competition in the last week, really kind of discovered that he can push from behind properly. We get a 7 for that transition. No comment, which is unfortunate, but that's just how it is. You can see he's a little bit choppy in his turns. He tends to rush a little bit in the canter, so I ride him those circles almost like it's a 50-cent piece to shift his shoulders across and get him to sit a little on the hind end. He'll just get better as he gets stronger. He really has settled down now that he had that little fizz earlier. I got a 7-5 for that calm transition, which was quite nice. 6-5 here for the lengthened strides, no faster. Not sure how I feel about that. I do think he did show some lengthening, but it probably just wasn't enough and clear enough to really score well. Then here, this movement's a really odd one. So it's circle 20 meters, give and take the inside rein over 2 to 3 strides at the first crossing of the center line. So I got a 6 for this, and the comment of just the inside rein, not both. But then it makes me wonder what the purpose of that movement actually is. I suppose it's to show that their flexion and bend is properly coming from your leg rather than from, like, your hand pulling their nose to the inside. But then the grade 1 test in the canter has the same thing, but you give both reins, and oh geez, I thought I had messed up when she opened that car door. But in the grade 1 test you give both reins to show that they are in self-carriage. So following that we got a 7 for the half circle and a 7 for the halt close behind. And the collectives 6-5, 6-5, 6-5, and 6-5. Horse shows promise, potentially nice movement if consistent. So all in all, pretty good for his first test in a while. So all I've got to say after that is thanks so much for sticking around. I hope that was insightful and useful. Hope to see you around in the next one. Bye!